Hello Clash fans, Trample Damage coming at you today with 120 recall spells. That's right, I got to take part in a very fun event hosted by the Clash Files family. It was the Total Recall War, where everybody had to use at least one recall spell in their army composition. We had Town Halls 11 through 15, split into two teams. It was a 30 versus 30 war. No dips, no reaches, so it was all Town Hall versus Town Hall attacks. It was a ton of fun, and if you don't know who the Clash Files family is, it is a group of adult-friendly clans that play a lot of Supercell games, including Clash of Clans and Clash Royale, and they have some content creators for both, in addition to a couple of podcasts they put out, which right now they sponsor the Married to Clash podcast and the Pineapples and Thorns podcast. Now, this war actually, really in my mind, came down to the Town Hall 11s, and I'm not just saying that because I was one of them, but we managed 3 triples against their Town Hall 11s, and they only got 1 against us. So we were down a star on everybody above the Town Hall 11s, but because we managed to clear out 3 of theirs, we ended up winning by 1. Now, at the end of the day, it was a war where we all won because we all had fun, and it was a good time. And what I wanted to do is bring some of these really cool attacks here to share with you and show you some of these interesting uses on the recall spell. Now, this first attack I'm going to show you here is a Town Hall 15 versus 15. The attacker is BG, who was the leader of our team on the Crystal Warrior clan. And this showcases what I honestly feel like for the average clasher would be one of the best uses of the recall spell. Now, he originally intended to use the recall spell for a different portion of the attack, but as has happened to all of us at some point in our clashing careers, our queen charges can sometimes go a little awry. And as the archer queen was clearly going to miss the eagle artillery and head off to the races down here, BG scooped the archer queen back up, redeployed her here, she reacquires her healers and heads right back into where we wanted her to go in the first place to get this eagle artillery. Now, unfortunately, if the queen had gone in ahead of time, we would have been fine and probably picked up the 3-star with no problem, but because we lost some time with the queen wandering and then getting recalled and pulled back, this mass minor attack, which had a beautiful funnel cut by that archer queen, manages to path around very nicely. I actually thought, because I watched this one live, I actually thought that the queen was going to go down to the monolith here, but she manages to get inside here and take care of the super minions in the clan castle as well as finishing off the monolith, and then the miners just continued sweeping through the base, and I really honestly thought we were going to wind up getting a 3-star on this one, but unfortunately you could see, it was about 2 minutes and 17 seconds left when the queen finally went inside that compartment with the eagle artillery, and she spent some more time cleaning out that compartment, which unfortunately led to this time fail. We had a couple of miners there on the cannon and some on the scatter shot. No way they would have failed to pick up that triple if they had maybe like another 5 or 6 seconds. So cool use of the recall spell where it can be planned for another portion of the attack, but used to help pivot and pull the queen out and redirect her if necessary. Here, Magnus is coming in Town Hall 11 v 11 with a mass witch attack using some ice golems and jump spells to get the witches into the core, and the recall spell in this case was actually used on the Clan Castle Hog Riders. Now you'll see the Clan Castle Hog Riders just came out. They're heading up toward the Grand Warden statue here. Now the problem is all those heroes on the backside of the Grand Warden statue plus the bomb tower would definitely have been a problem for those Hog Riders. So the Hog Riders were scooped out of there and redeployed onto the bottom component of the base here to help take out some of these point defenses that could have been a problem for the heroes. And of course, there's a couple wizard towers that were left in there. Now, maybe we still would have had the triple even if the Hog Riders had stayed in there going against the enemy heroes. My gut tells me that those enemy heroes would have absolutely wiped out the Hog Riders, and maybe the attack could have fizzled out on the backside had we not been able to pull them out and then redeploy them on the backside. I thought it was a cool use. I don't know if that was the intention up front, but clearly a good use of the recall spell. This next one here is actually going to be also from BG. This is a Town Hall 14 v 14, and it was basically the same thing that we ended up with on the Town Hall 15 and it's a newer Town Hall 14. You can see the pets there. The Yak is still level 1, the Electro Owl is level 3, Lassie at level 5, some work being put in on the Unicorn. A nice funnel setup here. But again, like we've all been in this situation where the Archer Queen just doesn't go where we plan for her to go, and instead of going into this compartment to take out the Eagle Artillery, she steps down here, fights off the enemy hero, and then steps into this compartment clearly planning on missing the Eagle Artillery. So after taking out the Inferno Tower, the Queen is extracted, placed back in at the top. We miss the healers again, but they re-engage with the Archer Queen, and she manages to step up in here, taking out the Eagle Artillery. Now, unlike in the other attack where the miners ran out of time in taking out the base. This one here, the miners ended up moving all the way through the base and managing to take everything out. So a similar use. I don't know if the original plan was to extract the miners during a certain point, whether it's maybe while they were getting hit by a scatter shot or maybe right after a town hall explosion, if we were worried about the poison or something. But we ended up just repositioning the queen, getting her to go back in, and a great use that, you could even plan for the queen charge to go poorly. Use the recall spell to redirect her and set yourself up for, a good attack. Here we're going to wind up showing this is a town hall. Oh, this is one of the, this is a fail we're going to look at here. We're going to go, Confucius actually has in this attack here what I thought I was going to wind up seeing a couple of times in the course of this war. I figured people would try to use the recall spell to grab balloons after hitting the town hall. Now here, I don't love the placement of the super dragons, a little bit spread out, not necessarily a fantastic funnel, and all the defenses are engaged. We're flying into a sweeper on one side, but here the battle blimp is protected by the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome, gets to the town hall, but unfortunately, even with the clone spells in there, the invisibility spell triggers and the balloons all run away. And Confucius makes an attempt to salvage the balloons, recalling them, knowing that they were all going to wind up going down, and then very quickly redeploys them over to the other side here when they were actually still raged, because you can see there they get to keep the status effects that are on them, but unfortunately they did not manage to pick up the town hall. But that's something I expected to see a couple of times, which we will show you here on this one. This is one, so this was an attack against us. This is Immortal attacking BG's Town Hall 14. And this is kind of the use that I was sort of expecting to see with some recall spells. And I think that this is the kind of thing we might be able to very clearly plan for and work into some of our attacks. Now, I don't know that the Stone Slammer is necessarily always going to be the way that I would envision this playing out. I was thinking more like being able to blimp the Town Hall, and then as the Town Hall goes down, quickly recalling the balloons before the Town Hall manages to pop. But here, we'll cut it down to regular speed, and you see all these balloons that are going to be heading in toward the Town Hall. There is just an absolute horde of them. Now, the Warden's ability has yet to be used, so we trigger the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome. We've got a rage spell in the Town Hall, and unfortunately they get caught what would have otherwise been the Tornado Trap and the Town Hall Poison. There's no way they would have survived that. They would have been caught in the Tornado Trap and eventually gone down to the poison, but instead just a ton of balloons are redeployed on the left-hand side of the base, where the enemy Royal Champion would have definitely taken out all these troops, but the balloons put in an absolute smattering of damage all over the place, taking out a bunch of high hit point buildings, allowing this to actually become a 3-star that I think otherwise would have been not a triple, if not for being able to extract those balloons. And I loved that play. I thought it was super cool. Of course, it's a trample damage video, so what trample damage video would be complete without also trying to show off one of my attacks? I got only one of my 2 attacks ended up being 3 stars, but I did get 3 stars against one of their Town Hall 11s. I used a Zap Quake Dragon with Lava Hound attack. Now, what I've been doing using the recall spell is using my heroes to take out 1 air defense and then zapping out the other 3. But because of the placement of these air defenses, I was actually able to take all that out with a smaller footprint. So I just brought my heroes in here to clean out some of these defenses so that my Lava Hounds would funnel very nicely into the core of the base. Went ahead and pulled my heroes out after cutting a nice little patch of space on the side here, deployed a couple of Lava Hounds with balloons and dragons, and then put my king and queen on the outside here just to make sure that the dragons and the balloons head back inside the base. And I feel like I mismanaged my spells a little bit in terms of the air sweeper. I actually had missed my earthquake spell down a little bit too low, and so I was unable to destroy those air sweepers up front. But the pathing that was set up along with the sheer power of the Lava Hounds and the dragons and the balloons, not having to deal with those air defenses, we ended up picking up the triple. And of course, the Archer Queen delivered some very helpful stuff on the backside here, making sure some of those other defenses, including a high hit point and high damage dealing Expo, was taken out of the equation. So, yay for me. I was glad I got at least 1 triple. I was hoping for 2, because then I could have been super cool, but, well, I'll take 1. 1 is good enough for me. The final attack we're going to show you here came from Barky against Town Hall 15 versus Town Hall 15, and I thought this was kind of an interesting use where, we're coming in with a Super Bowler attack, a Flame Flinger up on the top, we're going to put the Grand Warden in on the bottom side to make up the other side of the funnel, and it's a pretty typical Super Bowler smash attack, but the Royal Champion is on the bottom side of the base toward the end, and she'd be coming in toward a couple of other defenses, while a Rage Towered Expo would potentially have a chance to lay in a ton of damage on her. So what winds up happening, you can see the Royal Champion coming down here on the left-hand side along with Diggy, and once she gets through some of these defenses here, Barky ended up using that recall spell before the Queen's ability, before the Champ's ability had been used, to pick her up, since there's nothing really dangerous over here, and to then redeploy her up on the top side of the base where we could get through a couple of those defenses while the Expo was still shooting at the Yeti. So instead of the Royal Champion fighting her way through on the backside up against some of those high hit point buildings, we were able to get her in a little bit sooner up against this Expo and managed to trigger her ability to take down some of those defenses. But unfortunately, as was the case with some of the earlier attacks, well, it's only one that we showcased, but with a couple of attacks we did have some time fails. We did end up running out of time on this one, but I thought it was a pretty cool use, similar to the Town Hall 11 attack from Magnus, redirecting some of those defense hunting troops. This war was a ton of fun, and it inspired me to put together, we're going to be doing the 1-star extravaganza war, which you can find that on the Trample Damage Discord server. But I did just want to say thanks again to, I got the invite from Kat, one of the members of the Clash Files family, who was very gracious in having me over. I had a lot of fun. It was really cool being able to record this, so make sure to check them out. You can find them at discord.gg/Clash Files. And as usual, I forget to promote my own stuff, so just make sure to comment down below, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, check me out on TikTok, and of course, I'm trying to grow my Twitter and my Instagram following. But in the meantime, every Monday, Tip and I are releasing a podcast episode of the Clash Tips podcast. Make sure to check that out on Spotify or anywhere you can find podcasts.